Welcome back, Celestial Beings. Today we're going to look at the Dark Moon or Black Moon Lilith because she is pretty important at the moment. She is in the sign of Aries. She is with Chiron, the wounded healer, and Mars, who's just gone into Aries for the next 6 months, which is really important, especially at the moment since we have a cardinal cross, which represents a force of change that's going on, and 2020 is a big year. So not everyone is aware of Lilith or really understands Lilith. She is pretty much misunderstood. So I am going to go into a little bit about her as an archetype and the mythology and what exactly it is. So to begin with, it's not an actual planet, it's a hypothetical planet or considered an asteroid or geometric point in the sky that marks the furthest point from the moon's orbit around the sun. It's a place of darkness, that's why she's called the Dark Moon. And just as the point itself is simply a black spot in the void of outer space, floating somewhere near the moon, our Lilith rules the qualities also hidden in the darkness and is only occasionally lit by the light of the night, still shrouded in shadows but waiting to be seen. So when we look back in history, one of the earliest texts about Lilith was in a 19th century Hebrew text. It's basically a creation story about the first wife of Adam. Her name was Lilith. As we know in the creation story, they're both birthed at the same time in the earth, and Adam and Lilith were actually equals. But when there was a conflict between them, which was actually during sex, Adam wanted to be on top of her and Lilith refused to lie underneath. Then Adam attempted to use his force. At this point, she uttered God's name and flew away to the Red Sea. She chose self-exile over submission. Now, I mentioned that Lilith can represent suppressed female sexuality, which I talked a bit about in the meme analysis video of Karen. I got deep into the archetypes of Medusa and the femme fatale and how that kind of manifests in these Karen figures. Basically, it's female suppression and how this female suppression can bring out the darker aspects in the feminine. And that's what the patriarchal system has done. It has suppressed the deep, dark desires of that female divine energy and created it into something demonic, like we saw with Medusa. A similar story where Medusa was, a beautiful woman and she was turned into a gorgon, not because of any fault of her own, but because of a sexual abuse story. So now we see women empowering themselves through Lilith as a symbol of rebellion against the patriarchal control. But Lilith throughout history has been portrayed as, like I said, this demon, actually even a baby killer, someone who's turned their back on the garden, even a man, and making herself barren in a way. Just as Medusa was, very similar parallels. And so basically what the patriarchal system is using Lilith is someone who disobeys their role as a woman is basically doomed to death and destruction. And this is all just to kind of control Lilith's power in this patriarchal system that we are in. But things are changing now, and especially because of the signs of the times, Lilith is becoming more and more empowered. And we need to understand the different vibrations of Lilith. Like every sign, there's a low and high vibration. Actually, there's even 3 levels, you could say, because the medium way is what most people are stuck in and they follow. The higher vibration being a small percentage of people who self-actualize themselves, and the lowest vibration, a very small percentage of people who are in that darkest place as well. So we're going to go through the different vibrations of Lilith in Aries. And if you come from some of my other videos, you might know what I've been saying at the moment in popular culture is quite interesting because Lilith represents what is hidden, and things are now being brought to the surface, very dark, suppressed things that haven't been talked about, haven't been acknowledged, surrounding Shane Dawson, for example, because he was the one who just came out with this apology stuff just as Mars went into Aries for 6 months, which is very unusual. You can see my videos about that as well. But it basically marks this kind of cleaning up, lifting the veil and bringing justice to the fore, which I talked about in my full moon video, since, you know, we have Chiron in Aries as well going on, which is the wounded healer. We're going to see a lot of this stuff being brought to the surface, and it's going to help us heal those wounds and go forward as a society, as a collective. So let's go into talking about Lilith in Aries. Now, as we know, Aries is a fire sign. It's the first sign of the zodiac. It's very self-directed energy. It's in the moment. It's ruled by the head. It's the crowning of consciousness. People describe it as a very ego-driven sign. We need ego to be able to do things that helps us get up in the morning, take a shower, and go to our jobs. So ego is not necessarily a bad thing. Ego gives us that drive, which is Mars. Mars rules Aries. It is the archetype of the god of war. There is a tendency for aggression and violence. However, the highest form of Aries can be found through the highest vibration of Libra. It wants to fight for freedom, justice, and equality. It won't do it through the Libra way, though, because that's passive aggressiveness. It will be direct about doing it. That's what Aries is. It wants direct action right now. It wants to lead a revolution, a generation, a society into the unknown, because Aries represents pioneering things, and being a trailblazer. So Lilith, in the various lowest vibration, exerts her brute force in unhealthy attraction to sharp objects, guns, and fire. She is attracted to criminal matters and the underworld. She is a killer, warrior, butcher, killing for the sake of it. They are slaves to their destructive instincts and use people for their own purposes, such as energy vampirism. Noticeable traits are sudden outbursts, egocentrism, bloodthirst, to name a few. I don't want to name the other stuff because it's too dark to put out on, YouTube algorithm stuff. It's listening to you, so I doubt I'll be able to get away with most of the words used in this video anyway. Then we're going to go on to the intermediate vibration. This is the level that maybe a lot of people are operating in the physical world in our society. Lilith has abused her power and becomes too ambitious, rude, cruel to reach her goals. So faces many enemies and becomes victim to criminal activity with many crises and obstacles placed at her. She is in constant state of panic, hyperactivity, impulsiveness, and a tendency to impose pressure on those around us. Now, in the highest vibration of Lilith, which is what we ideally want to be working towards, and these are all the Aries vibrations I'm talking about in particular. Okay, so the highest vibration of Lilith in Aries is she is a brave and unbreakable force. She is aware that violence is not the solution and even regards it as evil. She overcomes destructive tendencies and hatred to enemies. She even is victorious in her fight against evil, a heroine and even a martyr for a just cause. Her mission now is to educate those who have committed evil crimes and bring them onto the path of enlightenment. With the power of her words and voice instead of physical force, she inspires others to do great deeds. Now, I think this is very interesting because we have seen martyrs at the moment for causes coming through. We also, I feel like our culture is trying to move into a higher vibration, although we are stuck. Most people are stuck in the intermediate vibration, but as this year 2020 is it is this crowning of consciousness in a sense. We are being forced into an awakening, and so with the media and communication, because the North Node is in Gemini, we need to be communicating, and this is what's going on. We are communicating about evil crimes. We are trying to enlighten people who have lost their way, and this is kind of Lilith. This is what I'm saying that Lilith is doing at the moment in Aries. She's trying to clean up this stuff. She's cleaning it up. She is bringing it to the surface. She is brave. You know, she's unafraid to be talking out about these things, calling out about these things. When people are saying, has cancel culture gone too far? I don't think it has. This is what the Times is telling us to do. I mean, this is the moment that we are in, to be calling out these atrocities, bringing them to the surface, and like Chiron in Aries, healing these wounds, because we are trying to lead, like Aries is the leader, we're trying to lead a group of people, our consciousness, towards the greater good, towards enlightenment, towards ultimately peaceful existence. So be aware of Lilith at the moment. This is mean Lilith in Aries. She's going to be doing the work in our personal lives, but also as a collective. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts. Pop them in the comments below. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. There's going to be more stuff coming through. And check the description to see what my other channels are, my other videos. Peace.